ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा गदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितां तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी शबानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Ishopanishad class, where we have, out of the 18 slokas, we have almost completed 10 to 11 slokas, and we have to complete the remaining 6 slokas by today. Just a quick summary, whatever we have gone through. How do we understand this 18 slokas? Is more relevant from Bhagavad Gita perspective, how a Jivatma understands himself or herself, then understands the Supreme Lord, and in understanding the Supreme Lord, how to perform those actions and what actions to be performed, what actions not to be performed. Understanding the Supreme Lord in terms of the different energy manifestations and how he is and what is he doing, all those aspects also. And finally, last six slokas will focus on how do I have the darshan, or how am I going to see that supreme personality of Godhead, that supreme absolute truth, and how do I do surrender to that? Okay, so that is how the 18 slokas are structured, and then Prabhupada wants to give a very important emphasis that energy, that supreme being is a personality who has got his own dham, his own place, and he does wonderful superhuman activities. Okay, that is the main part. Okay. I'll share the slides later. Okay. Yeah. You had an understanding about Vedas. Um, where does Upanishads come and sit in the place? We saw about all these things also. Yeah. Then qualifications of a guru we saw. Then we saw Ishavashyam principle, the principle of Purnamadam, Purnam, the principle of Purnam principle we saw. And then we saw the Ishavasyam principle, what is meant by Ishavasyam, and then we saw what is meant by Bhagavata communism aspect also, the proprietorship. That is the first sloka. Then we saw about karma. So importance of understanding the three types of karma, akarma, and vikarma. Okay. So this portion we saw in the second sloka. And then in the third sloka, we saw about Atmaja, understanding of the Jivatma, who he is. So he has got a importance of the human form. Human form of life is the most fortunate one that any Jivatma would have got. And then utilize of the body is the most important thing. That is what is mentioned in the third sloka. So don't waste the human form of life. Okay, that is the third one. And Prabhupada talking about Sura and Asura also. And then in the fourth sloka, importantly about fixing the mind about the Supreme Lord. So understanding about self and then fixing the mind on the Supreme Lord. Okay, Tasmat Ekena Manasa, that Manasa portion also came. The Lord's different energies and different parts also we saw. And then 15 from fifth sloka onwards, understanding about who he are. So he is Antar Bahir Avasa, he is Antar Asya Sarvasa. He's very close, he's very far away, he can walk, he's very far away. So all those specific understanding we got in the fifth sloka. We understood about Nirguna and Saguna portion. And then in the sixth sloka, we saw about everything is part and parcel. So from an Adhikari perspective, Uttam Adhikari, Kanishta Adhikari, and Madhya Adhikari, how do each of them see the other living entities? Okay, that portion we saw in the sixth sloka. The three stages, and at every stage, how a Jivatma sees themselves and as well as others and the Supreme Bhagavan. Okay. So in that, the vision of a Mahabhagavata is specifically called out in the sixth sloka. Okay. And in the seventh sloka, every tattako mahanko, every ekatvam anupashyataha. So every Jivatma has got that oneness of in the Supreme Lord. Only in the quantity it differs. From quality perspective, it is all the Jivatmas are the same. Okay, continuation from the sixth sloka. Vision of oneness. Ekatvam anupashyataha. So seventh sloka's one-liner is ekatvam anupashyataha. Okay. How do we understand between qualitative versus quantitative aspect? That question we saw. Eighth sloka talking about the Supreme Lord's physical form and how does he exhibit. So he doesn't have any kind of veins. He doesn't. His body and Jiva Atma is also same. Everything is same. His energy. So it is all the same. There is no for us. There is a difference between the body and then the Jivatma and then the other aspects also. But for the Supreme Lord, it is all the same. Okay, Paribuhu. He is the Paribuhu. He is the Swayambhu. Okay, those Vishming. And then in this sloka, two important aspects. Shuddham, apapa viddham. Okay, Shuddham is antiseptic. He is whatever weight when you apply Krishna's philosophy, it is all getting to. So he is called as Shuddham, apapa viddham. He is like completely in the propylatic state. So which means he can take up anything. So that is where we saw the eighth sloka. Okay. So whenever bad thing is there or something is there, when somebody gets an association through Krishna's energy form, whatever be it, immediately that particular things, he is like Jintamani. He is like a stone where everything, whenever it gets connected to the Lord, it becomes spiritual. Whatever be a materialistic way, when it becomes connection with the Supreme Lord, it becomes spiritual. Okay, that is called as prophylactic. Okay, that portion also. So Shuddham Apapa Viddham is very important in this sloka. And Prabhupada giving an importance of Archa Vigraha form. This also we saw in the 8th sloka. And from ninth onwards, knowledge. Okay, knowledge, Vidya and Avidya. Avidya is nothing but the material knowledge. Avidya is not about only the ignorance of spiritual knowledge. Okay, and then Avidya is also about having fully material knowledge. So that portion we saw in the 9th sloka. The difference between Vidya and Avidya is very important. Vedavada Rathas also important we saw. And then Prabhupada is giving a very important aspect of half-baked knowledge. Okay, that is having better to have no spiritual knowledge than half-baked knowledge, right? That is what is important. That is Prabhupada is giving. Okay, 9, 10, and 11 also. Okay, so 11th sloka is also avidya mrityum trita vidya amritam ashnute. One who can learn. So one who has to understand the difference between the material knowledge and the transcendental spiritual knowledge, so that he can move away avidya amritam ashnute, because he can move away from the material world. He can move away from the janma mrityu jara vyadhi stage. And this is what is the 11th sloka. Okay, now from 12th, we'll try to complete it by today. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, 6 slokas, we'll try to complete it today. So from 12th sloka, so I have got the knowledge. I know what is avidya, I know vidya, I have to do devotion service. But to whom I have to do devotion service? I know there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know his activities, I know his ways, everything. But there are also other devatas, other demigods. So how do I understand? So very importantly, this concept is also specifically emphasized in Bhagavad Gita also, right? So that is where in relevance to Bhagavad Gita, you can easily relate to. Okay, please read the 12th sloka. Yeah, you can read it.
Andham tama pravishanti ye sambhutim apashate tata bhuya ivate tamo yau sambhutyam maratha. Those who are engaged in the worship of demigods enter into the darkest region of ignorance, and still more so do the worshippers of the impersonal absolute. The Sanskrit word asambhuti refers to those who have no independent existence. Sambhuti is the absolute personality of Godhead, who is absolutely independent of everything. Everything. In the Bhagavad Gita 10.2, the absolute personality of Godhead Sri Krishna states, Name vidu suraga gana prabhavam na maharsaya aham adir hi devanam maharshinam sa sarvasha. Neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and the sages. Thus, Krishna is the original of the powers delegated to demigods, great sages, and mystics. Also, they are endowed with great powers. These powers are limited, and thus it is very difficult for them to know how Krishna himself appears by his own internal potency in the form of a man. Mantra 12 warns against the worship of the demigods Ashambhuti and the impersonal absolute Shambhuti, when done without a complete understanding of the supreme personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada purport highlights the I can't read anymore. Also highlights the dangers of partial or misguided spiritual paths.
This sloka is very clearly Andam tamasa pravishyanti, asambhutim and sambhutim. Okay, so Prabhupada makes a very important that this asambhutis are nothing but our understanding of the position of the demigods or the devatas. So they are also within this material manifestation, and they also have a limited capacity, limited power, limited duration, limited everything. So whomsoever working them, whomsoever serving them, whomsoever worshipping them is also in a kind of darkness only, in a kind of ignorant state only, because there is an sambhuti, there is a personality of Godhead who is personal, who is the supreme person, who is the supreme energy. So don't ever make an attempt to go and start worshipping the devatas. Then what will happen? Then it will actually it become Prabhupada mentioned, it becomes a trap. Like sometimes you are focused because they give a lot of small immediate quick results, quick benefits and all, and then that will become more entangled into the material way. So we have to be very, very careful. That is what Prabhupada is on. The second important aspect is danger of impersonal, which means sometimes what will happen, oh, I will go and worship the Brahman, I will worship this. That is also much more dangerous. So both the cases are little dangerous and in terms of not obtaining the pure bhakti or the bhakti that is directly towards the Bhagavan realization. Okay. So the second one is where it will lead maximum to the Brahma Jyoti or to the merger of that Brahman, and then like the jnanis mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, or the siddhis or the yogis, and then that is it. So there's no further progress on it. Okay. So Prabhupada is making that point very clearly. The impersonalists are more dangerous than the avidya. Okay. So you should understand the asambhuti principle. You should also understand the sambhuti principle. Okay. So worship of the devatas or demigods is more in the asambhuti side. Worship of the supreme Lord is in the sambhuti side. Okay. So what is the root of all troubles is because of the about the forgetfulness of the Supreme Lord. Okay. So people are confused because they don't know what is exactly the understanding between the material form and then the spiritual form, and they get diverted into various Vavasayatmika buddhi, right? Their buddhi goes into different aspects, and then that ekaha kurunandana, that one pointed single attention focus is lost. That is why it is very important that Ishopanishad also emphasizes an important point that oneness has to be identified, and from that oneness, we need to go and focus the Supreme Lord. Okay. Maybe we will just check if any specific points are there in the sloka, then we will get into the. Okay. Yeah. So Prabhupada talks about Name Vidu Suranagana Prabhavam Namaharshaha. So Prabhupada is also making even the Devatas, even the great sages, everybody for them who is the Amadir Hidevana Maharishi himself. So he is the source of all of them. Okay. So that point also Prabhupada is definitely mentioning. Okay. Please read this section.
Many philosophers and great rishis or mystics try to distinguish the absolute from the relative by their tiny brain power. This can only help them reach the negative conception of the absolute without realizing any positive trace of the absolute. Definition of absolute by negotiation is not complete.
Thank you, Mataji. So most of the way of the impersonal way of understanding Lord will go into a completely wrong direction. Okay, that is what is very importantly the this is a warning. This is a kind of a caution sloka. We need to be very very clear. Therefore, Isha Upanishad instruct that we should not seek temporary relief for our difficulties by worshipping the demigods, but we have to go for the supreme Lord. Okay. Sarvakamo mokshakamo tivrena bhakti yogena yajante purusham param. Okay, so whatever sarvakamo, whatever kama, whatever desire that way, either it is moksha kama or materialistic, whatever you want liberation or you want materialistic benefits or you want bhakti, tivrena bhakti, whatever be it, to whom it should go, we should have to go and worship. Ejante Purusham Param. That Parama Purusha, that Supreme Lord. Whatever be it, it is okay. So when you do a preaching to anybody, you can always emphasize on that point. Oh, you want material benefits? It's okay. You go to Krishna. You want moksha, you want liberation, you go to Krishna. That's fine. And you want Tivirena Bhakti, that is also Krishna. So at least going into somebody else, if they start worshipping the Lord, at some point of the time, they will get the actual realization and then they will turn towards devotion, pure devotion service to the Supreme Lord. Okay. So, one who worships the demigods and attains the middle class still remain in the darkest region of the universe. Okay? This is the important point that Prabhupada is also bringing. Okay? And Prabhupada is also mentioning the problems of life cannot be solved simply by going to the moon planet or here and there. So, very specifically, Prabhupada is focusing only on devotion service to the Supreme Lord. Okay? The Lord states that as soon as one reaches him by devotional service is one, and the only way to approach the person of God, personality of Godhead, one attains complete freedom from the bondage of birth and death. Okay, this is also okay. I think this is fine. Very last line is very nice. The conduct simply whatever this other spiritual masters, whomsoever trying to do is all nothing but simply for sense gratification. Okay, clear? Any doubts on this sloka? Andam tamah pravashyanti ye sambhutim upasitaha tato bhuya eva tamo yatu sambhuyatam rataha. Okay, let's go to the next sloka. So it is continuing with the understanding of that sambhuti and asambhuti. Yeah, please read. Prabhuji, anybody want to read?
Anyat ivahu sambhavad anyat ahur asambhavat iti sursruma dhirannam yenastad vikshakshire. It is said that one result is obtained by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and that another result is obtained by worshipping what is not supreme. All this heard from the undisturbed authorities who clearly explained it.
Yeah,
The
read.
system of hearing from undisturbed authorities is approved in this mantra. Unless one hears from a bona fide acharya who is never disturbed by the changes of the material world, one cannot have the real key to transcendental knowledge. The bona fide spiritual master who has also heard the Shruti mantras or Vedic knowledge from his undistributed acharyas never presents anything that is not mentioned in the Vedic literature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said that those who worship the Pitars of four feathers attend the planet of the four feathers, that the gross materialistics who make plans to remain here stays in this world, and that the devotees of the Lord who worship none but Lord Krishna, the supreme cause of all causes, reach him in his spiritual sky. Here also in Sri Ishopanishad, it is verified that one achieves different results from different modes of worship. If we worship the Supreme Lord, we will certainly reach him in his eternal abode. And if we worship demigods like the sun god or moon god, we can reach their respective planets without a doubt. And if we wish to remain on this wretched, wretched planet with our planning commissions and our stopgap political adjustments, we can certainly do that also. Nowhere in authentic scriptures it is said that one will ultimately reach the same goal by doing anything or worshipping anyone. Such foolish theories are offered by self-made spiritual masters who have no connection with the parampara, the bona fide system of disciple succession. The bona fide spiritual master cannot say that all paths lead to the same goal and that anyone can attain this goal by his own mood of worship of the demigods or of the supreme or whatever. Any common man can very easily understand that a person can reach his destination only when he has purchased a ticket for that destination. A person who has purchased a ticket for Calcutta can reach Calcutta, but not Mumbai. But there are so-called spiritual masters says that any and all paths will take one of the supreme goals. Such mundane and compromising offers attract many foolish creatures who become perfect by with their manufactured methods of spiritual realizations. The Vedic instruction, however, do not upholds them unless one has received knowledge from the bona fide spiritual master, who is the recognized line of displic succession. One cannot have real thing as it is. Krishna tells Arjuna in
Yeah,
the Bhagavad Gita.
yeah, thank you. Just hold on. Okay. One day, this our Giriraj Swami Maharaj, most of you will know, right? So when this Bombay Juhu temple construction was going on, and then after he was playing a very important role, and then after all those activities and all, recently some years ago he published a book called Chasing the, along with others. He released some books, okay, and about specifically on this Juhu one. So he was giving a lecture in the sense he was giving a class on that particular this one, and he was and somebody was reading the same you know Kolkata, Kolkata, and then Mumbai. Then Maharaj immediately interpret and say, no, 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 don't change it. Whatever Prabhupada told is that time it is Bombay means it is Bombay only. Don't change it to Kolkata. Don't change it to Mumbai and all. Okay. So, so Prabhuji, please don't change. If it is Kolkata ka Bombay means it is Bombay only. Okay. So, because they want to retain the whatever Prabhupada told. Okay, so he shared that, and then he was mentioning it is Prabhupada's way of seeing it, and we are just repeating whatever Prabhupada told. Okay. So this loka, is all about understanding what is the result. So in the previous loka, it gave a warning that if you do the worship of the devatas, you will lead into a different one. So in this loka, it's specifically mentioning that the result of worshipping the Yanti Devo Vrita Deva. So the same Bhagavad Gita sloka, right? However, whatever the situation be, you worship the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, if you worship that particular devata, you will go to that particular devata's kingdom or the planet. right? So that is again specifically mentioned. All this is heard from the undisturbed authority who click. So very importantly, dhiranam. The word dhira is very important. So we need to understand why importantly getting the knowledge is important. Second is from whom are we getting this knowledge is important. So the pramanam is very clear. The pramanam is this is the philosophy, this is the understanding, and this is the knowledge. But this knowledge is backed, or this knowledge is given by the dhiras, not like just like ordinary persons. Even Krishna also in Bhagavad Gita, many slokas he will refer like and say, this is told by Janak Maharaj, this is told by great Vedantis, this is told by great Munis. So he wants to emphasize that point. Yes, this has been there from the Vedic system, and that gives the 100% perfect result. So there is no doubt about it. You do not have to go for any kind of a mental speculation and trying to find out exactly whether it is true or not. Okay, so that is where even in this sloka also worshipping between the Sambhavat and Asambhavat, and it is Shushuma. Shushuma means we have heard. I heard. Okay, which means very clearly the fact is emphasized and fact is established. Okay, so Prabhupada is also referring to all these specific understanding, and this is a very good analogy that everybody can understand, right? You purchase a ticket for Kolkata and you will never land up in Bombay. So Kolkata means Kolkata only, right? So when your goal is towards that, then that is it. So we'll never be able to get into other the required original goal. Okay. So this fourth chapter slokas all we all know, right? Whenever he say yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyuktanama dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham, and then paritranaya sadhunam. So all those slokas in Bhagavad Gita fourth chapter first section, it always emphasizes the fact that why Krishna descended as an avatari and what is it that he was trying to do, and there are multiple purposes behind it. Most important purpose is to annihilate all the miscreants and re-establish dharma, re-establish faith. Right? So that is where Prabhupada is also emphasizing that we should focus only on worship of the Supreme Lord. Okay. And Prabhupada is giving about different interpreters of Bhagavad Gita and others. Yeah. So please read this section. This is also a nice section. Yeah,
In
Rajiv.
the
Yeah.
mantra of Sri Ishopanishad, the word Sambhavat, by worship of the supreme cause. It is very significant. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and everything that exists has emanated from him. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Aham sarvasya prabhovo matah sarvam parvattate iti matva bhajante mam buddhaha bhava samvanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly knows this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Here is the correct description of the Supreme Lord given by the Lord Himself. The word Sarvasya, Prabhava, indicates that Krishna is the creator of everyone, including Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And because these three principal deities of the material world are created by the Lord is the creator of all that exists in the materials and spiritual worlds. In the Atharva Veda, Gopalatapani Upanishad, it is similarly said, He who existed before the creation of Brahma and who enlightened Brahma with the Vedic knowledge is Lord Krishna, Sri Krishna. Similarly, the Narayana Upanishad states the Supreme Person, Narayana, desired to create all living beings. Thus, from Narayana, Brahma was born. Narayana created all the Prajapatis. Narayana created Indra. Narayana created the eight Vasus.
Vasu.
Vasus. Vasus. Narayana created the 11 Rudras. Narayana created the 12 Adityas. Since Narayana is a plenary manifestation of Lord Krishna. Narayana and Krishna are one and the same. The Narayana Upanishad also states Devaki son Krishna is the Supreme Lord. The identity of Narayana with the Supreme Cause has also been accepted and confirmed by Sripad Sankaracharya, even though Shankara does not belong to the Vaishnavas or personalist cult. The Atharva Veda Maha Upanishad also states only Narayana exists in the beginning when neither Brahma nor Shiva nor fire nor water nor stars nor sun nor moon existed. The Lord does not remain alone but creates as he desires. Krishna himself states in the Moksha Dharma, I created the Prajapatis and the Rudras. They do not have complete knowledge of me because they are covered by my illusory energy. It is also stated in the Varaha Purana, Narayana is the supreme personality of Godhead, and from him the four-headed Brahma was manifested, as well as Rudra, who later became omniscient. Thus, all Vedic literatures confirms that Narayana or Krishna is the cause of all causes. In the Brahma Samhita, all
Prabhu, I think we lost him.
Also it is Brahma Samhita also it is said that the Supreme Lord is Sri Krishna. Govinda, the delighter of every living being and the primeval cause of all causes. The really learned person knows this from evidence given by the great sages and the Vedas, and thus they decide to worship Lord Krishna as all in all. Such persons are called Buddha or really learned because they worship only Krishna.
Thank you,
The
Prabhu. Prabhu, it's fine. Thank you. So the details, mostly whatever you have read in Bhagavad Gita, understanding the Supreme Lord, understanding his position, understanding what is his stature, all those things are all Prabhupada trying to again emphasize in the purport. And then what are we supposed to make an understand? And he also makes about moksha dharma, the principle of understanding who can deliver, who can move us from this material open. Okay, that is also important. Okay. I think all the other portions we can easily understand that. We can understand. The simple way, yeah, please read this. This is very important.
The simple way to worship the Supreme Lord is the age of disturbance is to hear and chant about. These great activities, the mental speculators, however, think that the activities of the Lords are imaginary. Therefore, they refrain from hearing of them and invent some word jugglery without any substance to divert the attention of the innocent masses of people. Instead of hearing of the activities of Lord Krishna, such pseudo spiritual masters advertise themselves by including their followers to sing about them.
Thank you. So the Upanishads indirectly draw our attention to the primary Lord Krishna, but Bhagavad Gita is a directly point to Krishna. Okay. So this Upanishad this Isha Upanishad is also talking about the supreme person, supreme Isha, supreme controller, supreme everything, and then indirectly conveying. But Bhagavad Gita is a direct understanding or a direct summary of which will give about that supreme person of God and Aham Sarvasya Prabhupada. Okay. Okay, I think we can finish off all these particular portions, then we'll be able to understand. One, by knowing the science of God, one gradually becomes free from material attachments, and one's doubtful mind becomes crystal clear by the grace of the Lord. One who attains this stage is a liberated soul and can see the Lord in every step of. This is the perfection of Sambhava. Okay, so the summary of the sloka is understanding about that Sambhava, understanding about that Supreme Personality, and the science of worshipping Him is the perfect way of attaining the Yashti. How do we understand? Is through the Dhiras, through the great authorities who have established the fact with their own perfection, with their own experience. Okay. Three slokas together. We saw 12th, we started with demigod worship. Then we saw what happened, what will happen when they worship demigod worship and whom we are supposed to worship. The same thing is continuing in the 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Last five slokas. Finally, we'll conclude into yes, worshipping of the Supreme Lord is the best. And then the Jivatma will start asking. Jivatma will say, how do I realize? How do I see you? How can I have your darshanam? Okay. Yeah, please read the translation, the sloka and translation. Yeah.
Hare
Tam
Krishna.
tam
Ishopanishad 14. Sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastad vedo bhayam saha vinashena mrityum tritva sambhutam vritam asnute.
Amurtamashnute.
Translation. One should know perfectly the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna and his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes, as well as the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods, men and animals. When one knows this, he surpasses death and the ephemerical cosmic manifestation with it, and in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge. Thank you.
Please read this section, Madhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. By its so-called advancement of knowledge, human civilization has created many material things, including spaceships and atomic energy, yet it has failed to create a situation in which people need not die, take birth again, become old, or suffer from disease. Whenever an intelligent man raises the question of these miseries before a so-called scientist, the scientist very cleverly replies that material science is progressing and that ultimately it will be possible to render man deathless, ageless, and diseaseless.
Thank you, Mandaji. So, but such answers prove scientists have gross ignorance of material nature. Okay. For example, a few years back, we had now science is growing. We always say it is all growing. But few years back, when we had the Corona period, nothing can be done. Nobody was able to, find out, and then the all kind of medicine, whatever it was all trying. But once the corona came, that's it. I mean, it had its own impact, and there is a mass restriction here and there across the world, right? So some countries were able to quickly come, some countries suffered a lot, some countries were still trying to, and for many of them they had all the after effort health issues. So whenever we say material development, when we say science is developing everything, which is actually not really focusing on the main aspect of spiritual knowledge, main aspect of coming out of this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. So whatever advancement we keep going in towards one direction is actually not pertaining to our Jivatma, not pertaining to the soul, not pertaining to the advancement of from a spiritual perspective. So that's why Prabhupada always emphasizes of what is that simple living and high thinking. More towards simple living with a typical farm community, and then focusing on Krishna, focusing on our own sadhana, focusing on our own is more important than getting into all kind of other advancements. So the more and more advancement is more and more dangerous only. Okay. The duration of our life is also reduced. The duration of our generation to the previous generation is completely is getting reduced on a very faster pace, right? So that is what is Prabhupada is also emphasizing. So what is the sloka's main emphasis? One should know perfectly the Supreme Lord Krishna, his Nama, Rupa, Guna, and Leela, right? So in other scriptures also, how do we understand his Nama? Through his name and through his form, his various forms, various incarnations, plenary portions, incarnations, and then other Leelas also, his wonderful qualities, his Guna, right? So these are all the aspects by which, importantly, emphasizing on the point of remembering Krishna, always remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna. So that when at the moment of death, we are able to recollect whatever we are able to recollect, and then we'll move away from this position. Okay. So when one knows these, he surpasses death and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation. What is that ephemeral cosmic manifestation? Ephemeral cosmic manifestation is nothing but the entire material world. Whatever we say, the 14 planetary systems, right? Whatever be it, we'll be able to move away from that. When we say janma karma chame divyam yo me vedi tektva deham punarjanma naitimam iti sosana. So when somebody knows his janma and karma is transcendental, is divyam, then naitimam iti sosana. He will never come back. He will be able to move away from this ephemeral cosmic manifestation. And what he will do? He will be able to param gatim shantim adhigachiti. He'll get peace, param gatim. He'll get the eternal place. He can be in Vaikuntha Loka. He can be in Goloka. He can be in the place and then he can enjoy his seva with the Supreme Lord. Okay. Okay, let's go into the. So, if you read through the purport, why Prabhupada is emphasizing so much of details in this is because establishing an important understanding that this understanding should go to everybody. Okay, since you have already read through Bhagavad Gita, you may be easily able to relate to. But without reading Bhagavad Gita, if you relate this particular sloka and this particular purport, then you will see why Prabhupada is giving so much of emphasis on devotion service, so much emphasis on Krishna, so much emphasis on worshipping only Krishna. Right? So all those specific points is again kind of, even though it looks like repetitive for you, the emphasis is on understanding the need of the hour and then focusing on the Supreme Lord. Okay, that is the most important aspect. So wherever possible, he'll get the quote from Bhagavad Gita. This, for example, this 8th chapter's 20th sloka. Paras tasmatu bhavyon. So in this sloka, yes, sarveshu bhuteshu nashteshu na vinashyati. So all whatever we are thinking about the great material manifestation, including the great planetary system, everything is having a particular period, particular time. And then after that, it will get destroyed. Right? So Prabhupada is giving these specific details of understanding. Okay. Yeah, you should know about Vyaktam and Avyaktam, right? What is Vyaktam and Avyaktam? Even Bhagavad Gita you might have read. In simple way, what is Vyaktam and Avyaktam? Can somebody give an example? This section. You might have read in Bhagavad Gita also, right? What is Vyaktam and Avyaktam? Any example? Anybody? What is the unmanifested stage called as Avyakta? How do we understand this?
When pralaya happens, then all the living entities go in the stomach of Mahavishnu.
Okay, that is at a higher, larger, even in normal day-to-day life, I'm saying, even in your current status, current way of understanding, that is the fine. That is one. Yeah, you are right, Prabhu. That is one, but more from a practical way. Vyaktam and avyaktam.
Prabhuji, as we observe, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisance.
Yes, Prabhu.
As we observe in our day-to-day life that when sun rises, then it appears to our horizon and we are able to see that is manifested form. And when sun sets off from our side, then it means sun has unmanifested from our side. Prabhuji.
Okay, very nice. Good. Okay. So Vyaktam is whenever it is coming out, it is there. And then by the end of the day, it moves. So it becomes an unman. So it doesn't mean that it's going away. Still, it is in the Vyaktam and Avyaktam. Sun example. Okay, good. Any other example? So typical way of quickly understanding this Vyaktam Avyaktam is, if you are in a summer, if you keep walking in a normal road or wherever you see that the land will be very dry, right? You'll never see anything, there is no greenery. The land sometimes in India, it will be very dry, nothing will be there. But at the same time, after some months when monsoon comes, If you're walking on the road or be walking some places, you will see a lot of grasses, a lot of small sprouting, small plants that just like that will come, right? So what does that mean? It means the seeds or those particular plants, bijam or the seeds is already in the avyaktam state in the material manifestation. It is already present. It is not that it is suddenly coming out. It is already present. Only during a particular period, the vyaktam or the manifestation will come, and after some time it will just get into avyaktam. So how do we understand the Vyaktam and Avyaktam is a part and parcel of the material manifestation creation that comes and goes and that comes and goes. Same way, the Lord also certain times he will have the Avyaktam state, and then sometimes he will be in the Vyaktam state. So it doesn't mean that he's not there, doesn't mean it's not coming. So it is always present, always there. But whenever it is required, it will come. Then whenever it is not required, it will come. Okay. The sun example is also a very nice example. And Prabhu was mentioning about the pralayam. That is okay. That is at the last stage. Okay. So how is the Lord's energy is divided is mentioned here. Ekapad vibhuti, tripad vibhuti. Whatever there are many material universes under each jurisdiction of Brahma, and this cosmic manifestation within the jurisdiction of various Brahmas is but a display of 1/4 of the energy of the Lord, which means whatever we are able to assimilate through our knowledge, understand our knowledge is only 1/4. Beyond the jurisdiction of Brahma is the spiritual, which is 3/4, which is much more larger, much more higher, much more relishable, much more taster, whatever be it. It is beyond our understanding, beyond our cosmic dimension. Okay, that is called as Parashak, Paraprakrit, Apara and Para, right? Which means whatever is within this is just the 1/4 portion. And then the beyond that is the Parashakti, which is Paraprakriti, sorry. Paraprakriti is beyond this, which is more of from a spiritual energy perspective. So which is more, definitely spiritual is more. But we assume that, oh, this itself is so huge, but this is only 1/4 of the Lord's energy manifestation. Okay. Yeah, this paragraph is talking about the karmis, jnanis, and then the yogis. According to their particular level, their particular status, understanding, they will go to that particular planets. Okay. This is an important line. No one can enter into the spiritual Vaikuntha planets without being trained in devotion service. Okay. No one can dominate Krishna. It is a conditional soul who tries to dominate material nature instead of subject to the laws of material nature. So Prabhupada will give that prison example, right? You would have studied in Bhagavad Gita also. Sometimes we assume that when a president or when the judge or whomsoever the head of the state comes to the prison, the other prisoners assume he is also a prisoner, right? But actually he is beyond the jurisdiction of the prison, right? So this Dukalayam, this Ashashvatama place is also kind of a prison, but we assume that the Lord comes and he is also bounded by the material condition, but which is incorrect. Okay. So Prabhupada is very emphatic on this point, right? No, you cannot change it. You cannot dilute the knowledge just because to accommodate everybody, just because to ensure that all of them are. So there's nothing called dilution in the knowledge perspective. Okay, if you think about diluting the knowledge, then the truth will get also diverted, and then you get into this one. So that is why Prabhupada is very, very, very emphatic and then mentioning our fellow men in the right ways. We have to focus on our preaching aspects to ensure, based on the Shastra Pramana, based on the scriptural understanding, we have to go and talk. So as Bhakti Shastri students, it is our responsibility when you go and talk with them, go with the Shastra Pramana. Tell this loka, this is what is mentioned, this is what is mentioned. Then they will have a lot of conviction. Otherwise, just like that, you mention a story, you tell here, somebody told, those things all won't help. Okay, so that is the main reason. There can be no compromise for this matter of necessity. Very beautifully is mentioned, right? Prabhupada never compromised on the principles of devotion service. Okay. So 3 slokas, 12, 13, 14 is all about Sambhuti and Asambhuti of and worshipping, not worshipping the devatas or the demigods. Okay. This sloka is very important sloka. Hiranmayena patrena Satya Sahispitam Mukam Tattvam Pushnan Ap. So when you go and sit for yoga classes in other Patanjali yoga and all, they will mention about this Hiranmayena Patrena, that effulgence, the golden effulgence of the sun. Like when you do Surya Namaskar, when you go and sit for Surya Namaskar, most important aspect is this particular slokas is invoked so that the energy that is coming out from the dazzling effulgence from the source is get that we observe on it. Okay. Yeah, please read this section. So, should I call out somebody?
No. Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
I will read.
the shloka or the translation?
Translation.
Both.
Both.
Oh, yes. Both.
O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Shloka 14.27, the Lord explains his personal rays, Brahma Jyotir, the dazzling effulgence of his personal form. In this way, Brahmano hi pratisthaham अमृतस्या वस्यस्य च सस्वतस्य च धर्मस्य सुखासैकान्तिकस्य च. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan are 3 aspects of the same absolute truth. Brahman is the aspect most easily perceived by the beginner. Paramatma, the supersoul, is realized by those who have further progressed. And Bhagwan realization is the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.7, where Lord Krishna says that he is the ultimate concept of the absolute truth. Mataha parataram nainat. Therefore, Krishna is the source of the Brahma Jyotir as well as the all-pervading Paramatma. Later in the Bhagavad Gita, verse number 10.42, Krishna further explains, Atava बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवर्जुन विष्टभयम् इदं कृष्णम् अकंसेन स्थितो जगत्.
Ekamstena sthito jagat.
एकांसेन स्थितो जगत्. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Thus, by his one plenary expansion, the all-pervading Paramatmana, the Lord maintains the complete material cosmic creation. He also maintains all manifestations in the spiritual world. Therefore, in this Shruti mantra of Sri Ishopanishad, the Lord is addressed as Pushan, the ultimate maintainer.
Thank you, Mataji. So Pushan here
Thank you.
means one who gives the nourishment. Okay. Pushan. So even Bhagavad Gita also Krishna is called the Pushan because he is the ultimate nourishing personality. So nourishment comes through moon, right? So the nourishment comes through moon and then that energy is provided through the Lord. Okay, that is what is very important. Okay. So this is where we can say Hiranmayana Patrena Satyasispitam Mukam Tattvam Pushan Apavarnu Satya Dharmaya Drishyate. So please, so here the pleading from here onwards, this 15, 16, 17, 18, 4 slokas is moving towards, I have already understood who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I know I should not worship the Devatas and what is the understanding of Sambhuti and Asambhuti, and I have to move focusing on that particular personality. So I've got the complete knowledge now. I've got the complete understanding. I've got what am I supposed to do? That devotion service. So in that devotion service, first thing is I have to have the vision of the Supreme Lord. So the Jivatma is praying to that Supreme Truth, the Supreme Energy, Supreme Lord, that please can I have your darshan? Okay. So same way if you see in 11th chapter, right? When Arjuna gets the full understanding and knowledge, he pleads to the Krishna, can I have your darshanam? Can I have your rupam, Vishwarupam, right? So the same concept you can understand here also, in which here now Hiranmayana Patran, because of the golden effulgence of because they are able to see only the unmanifested or the way in which it is only the Brahman realization portion of the effulgence. So they want to, or the Jivatma or the devotee wants to see the actual Rupam or the form of the Supreme Lord. Okay. So please show your place. Please, can I have your darshan? Okay. Aprunnu Satya Dharmayate. So, and exhibit yourself to your pure devotees. That is what is the understanding. And Prabhupada in the sloka, he's talking about very nicely two, three important slokas. Understanding about Brahman, understanding about Paramatma and Bhagavan. The essence of Bhagavad Gita will conclude only if somebody is taking up devotion service to that personality of Godhead. If that is not there, then whatever you have studied Bhagavad Gita is completely waste. So they might have studied what is Brahman, they might have studied Paramatma in 13th chapter, all those things, but if it is not concluding with the concept of understanding that absolute truth is the personality, and then I have to do worship, then only it will become okay. Ek aam se na. So in this sloka, very beautifully, Krishna calls Arjuna and tell, hey, all whatever you have, I'm told Vistabhyam, the so much of thing, whatever that have been created is just ekam sena, just one spark of his entire creation. If you read through Bhagavad Gita's 10th chapter, he will talk about all the incarnations. Whatever best you think about an animal, you think about the mountain, you think about the bird, you think about whatever that you are seeing in the material manifestation, whichever is the best of best is what is all from Krishna. And then finally in that particular chapter, he'll say, hey, whatever I've told is just nothing but a spark of it, only just a few, and then that's it. Right? He will go very elaborately talking about every aspect of whatever we are able to think. And finally, the 42nd sloka, you just think it is just only a fraction of this one. Okay. Thus, so what does actually the Lord do? Lord has got a lot of other activities of engaging himself in various wonderful leelas and pastimes, whichever he wants to relish. And that is through the association with spiritual associate. It's his Nitya Siddhas, his own closely related, where he will take up based on the rasas that we have already studied, right? So based on the primary rasas and then the secondary rasas, he will establish a wonderful relationship and connection and relish that particular relationship.
Watson.
Okay. The system of, yeah, please read this section. Very important section.
The system of God realization is a great science. The materialistic Sankhya yogis can only analyze and meditate on the 24 factors of the material creation, for they have very little information of the Purusha, the Lord, and the impersonal transcendentalists are simply bewildered by the glaring effulgence of the Brahma Jyotir. If one wants to see the absolute truth in full, one has to penetrate beyond the 24 material elements and the glaring effulgence as well. Sri Ishopanishad points towards this direction, praying for the removal of the Hiranmaya Patra, the dazzling covering of the Lord. Unless this covering is removed, so one can perceive the real face of the personality of Godhead. Factual realization of the absolute truth can never be achieved. Thank you.
So, clear? Yeah. So Prabhupada quotes the Brahma Samhita also. Yasya Prabha Paravodo Jagadanda Koti Susesha Vasudad Vibhutam. Tad Brahma Nishkalam Anantam Asesha Bhutam Govindam Adipashim. Tad Brahma Nishkalam Anantam Asesha Bhutam. Very beautifully, Brahma glorifies the Supreme Lord. Like Vasudadi Vibhuti Bhinnam. Like so much of energy, so much of Jyoti quotient, and then that is where we are able to have the realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so this sloka is just a simple player, initially starting with getting that particular vision of the Supreme Lord. Okay, and then the next 3 4 slokas will tell about, please, I've already done a lot of seva. I'm in a situation where you should be able to know that I've already done a lot of devotional service to you. So please help me to have your darshanam. Okay, that is what is the conclusion portion. Okay, and Prabhupada quotes from Mundaka Upanishad also. Perfect knowledge means knowing Krishna as the root of this Brahman. This knowledge can be gained from scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam, which further perfectly elaborate the science of Krishna. Okay. I think these sections are all okay. So initially, initial knowledge from an LKG, from a primary, it will be more of a Brahman realization. Then slowly Paramatma realization, and then finally the Bhagavan realization, which is Vasudeva Sarvamiti.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I did not understand one thing. Like, whatever we call as the Brahman realization, like the Jyoti, so it has been called as Hiranmaya Patra, or both are different?
No, Hiranyamaya Patra is just the Hiranyamaya Patra is the see when Lord appears, he'll have so much of dazzling effulgence, right? In Bhagavad Gita also, he specifically mentioned Natad Bhashete Suro Nashashanko Napavakahi Yadgadva Nivartente Tadhama Paramam Mama. So in his place, in his dhamam, there is no electricity, there is no moon, there is no sun and all. Whatever light you want, whatever the vision that you want to see, the light comes directly from the Lord's Natad Bhashyate Surya Nasha Shanko Na Pavakaha. There is no Surya, there is no Shank, there is no moon also. So what, which means what, whatever light that comes from the Lord's effulgence comes from the Lord's body itself is more than sufficient to for us to have the visibility, for us to have the for seeing everything, right? So that is what Krishna himself is saying in Bhagavad Gita. So in the same way, this is not about the Brahman portion. Brahman portion is only whatever you say from a sun rays, right? That is all from a material manifestation perspective. This is actually the Lord's effulgence that is coming there. So this Jivatma is trying to re-establish that connection with the Lord and having that realization so far in the last 15, 16 slokas is praying to the Lord, please can I have your full vision or full form of the Supreme Lord. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Last 3. Yeah, please read the translation.
O my Lord, O primeval philosopher, maintainer of the universe, O regulating principle, destination of pure devotees, well-wisher of the progenitors of mankind, please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays so that I can see your form of bliss. You are the eternal supreme personality of Godhead, like unto the sun as am I.
Thank you, Mataji. So how do we split this sloka is very beautifully. Yatte rupam kalyanatamam tatte pashyami. So how do we go into this? So this sloka is glorifying. It's like praying. Like if you see it through Bhagavatam, there are, for example, after Ham Sarvasya Prabhu Mataswaram Prabhu, after this one, when Arjuna is asking Param Brahma, Parandama, Pavitram, the same way that person gets the realization, right? And then he is pleading to the Lord. So in what way he's glorifying the Lord? What way? You are the Pushan, you are the Ekkarisha, and you are the Prajapatya. You are the well-wisher of everybody. Okay, and then he's saying you are the person for whom we have the Kalyanatamam. Kalyanatamam means the most auspicious aspect of it. So please remove your effulgence so that I can see your form of bliss. Why? Because you are the eternal supreme personality of Godhead and like unto the sun as am I. So here there might be a point where finally I understood, but why the Lord is compared to the sun. Actually, sun should be compared to the Lord. Instead, here as though the Lord is compared to the sun. Okay. If you see this line, very importantly, Kalyanatam tatte pashyami yah saha asu purushah saha aham asmi. Okay. So very importantly, so any thought why this particular Jivatma, after getting all this knowledge, is again comparing the Lord with the sun? Usually we have to go the other way, right? Any thought? You understand the question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sun is required for growing to all living things, as
Sun
like
is
that.
required. Okay. Okay. Okay.
As the sun is Paramatma, and the sun rays that are all living entities which are which same in quality but not in quantity.
Okay. Okay. Right. So ideal understanding is I am getting the knowledge of all this wonderful knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead because I am from my material vision perspective, all I can go is only up to the level of understanding the sun concept. So even Prabhupada, why he is mentioning the analogy of sun, the planet sun, the sun rays, and then the effulgence of sun is because our understanding, our knowledge, our conception is only about only maximum to that level only because we are not able to go beyond that. Right? In Mahabharata, when Krishna goes as messenger, right? And then this Duryodhana insults him like anything. What has happened? He shows his Vishurupam, right? In Mahabharata. But the Vishurupam is so effulgent that nobody could even open their eyes. It becomes so effulgent, becomes the energy, the light that is coming out of the Lord's body was so bright. All of them, only few of them like Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, they were able to have that partial darshan of the Lord, and then they paid their obeisances. But all others, including Karna, including Duryodhana, all the other Duttana, whomsoever, the moment Lord demonstrated his, see, this Duryodhana wanted to insult him, like, no, Duryodhana wanted to have him imprisoned or he wanted to get captured. But just immediately, the Lord had to show his power because he has come as the messenger and he had a particular message and he wanted to convey, and that is already done. But being very silly, being very cheap minded, he thought he will do this. Then the Lord immediately showed his wonderful image. So the form was so huge and so bright. So the effulgence coming out of the Lord's Bhagavan's body was so light, so big that, for example, if you have a normal light, then you have a whatever hexagon or whatever that helium light. The light, if it's getting much more brighter, it is better for us to close our eyes rather than seeing it, right? So in that way, all these Kauravas, they didn't have that particular what do you say, the qualification to have the darshan of the Lord. They just have to close their eyes. They cannot. Right? Same way, we have to understand the Lord's energy when it comes manifestation in this particular light, everything. The Jivatma is also praying that way that you are the primary Lord, you are the maintainer, Pushan, you are the person, everything. So I am not able to relate to even actually sun also, right? Sometimes when you are in a very in the midday of the day, midday of in the summertime, you cannot walk in the sun just like that, just seeing the sun, right? All you have to do is lower your head only, right? Because it is okay. So that is why this Jivatma is trying to compare whatever to its knowledge about the Lord's effulgence or Lord's energy or the bright sun, the bright light that is coming out of his body. So Prabhupada is talking about the Brahmajyoti, very specifically about the Brahmajyoti part of it, rays emanating from the spiritual planet, just as the sun's rays emanate from the global too. Until one surpasses the glare of Brahmajyoti, one cannot receive. So anyway, for us also, we have to go through this journey and then have the Lord's darshanam. Okay, very importantly, we need to understand. Yeah, Prabhupada is talking about Bhagavad Sandarbha. This portion we can read. It's very nice. Yeah.
Mm. In his Bhagavad Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami states, the complete conception of the Absolute Truth is realized in the personality of Godhead because he is almighty and possesses full transcendental potencies. The full potency of the Absolute Truth is not realized in the Brahma Jyoti. Therefore, Brahman realization is only partial realization of the personality of Godhead. O learned sages, the first syllable of the word Bhagavan, Bha, has two meanings. The first is one who fully maintains, and the second is guardian. The second syllable, Ga, means guide, leader, or creator. The syllable Van indicates that every being lives in him, and that he has also lives in every being. In other words, the transcendental sound Bhagavan represents infinite knowledge, potency, energy, opulence, strength, and influence, all without a thing of material inerbrity.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay. So before going to this, I want to just correct where I was telling about Pinky Mataji was asking about what is that and that coming out, right? Prabhupada is also making that point. Whatever we are seeing is the Brahmajyoti portion and the effulgence coming from the Supreme Lord. So both are same, but the person who's praying to the Lord is not about the Brahmajyoti portion, but to see the Lord. Okay, that is the difference. But Prabhupada is also emphasizing on the point what Pinky Mataji was asking, right? So what is that is coming out of the Lord is the Brahmajyoti portion. That is, there is no doubt about it. But more importantly, somebody who has to get that knowledge, go beyond that Brahmajyoti is what is more important, which means the Lord's effulgence that is coming out, right? So here he is specifically focusing on the Lord's effulgence coming out, and Prabhupada is referring that as the Brahmajyoti portion of it. Okay, Pinky Mataji, you understood?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Okay, yeah. Ishopanishad petitions the Lord to remove the effulgent rays of the Brahmajyoti. Okay, this is very clear. So Brahman realization is only partial realization of the Supreme Lord. Okay, very importantly discipline. Yeah, fine. I think this is all covered thoroughly. So only one thing is this Ishopanishad might be a repetition of whatever you have learned in Bhagavad Gita and all these concepts and all. It is, as I mentioned again, it is kind of little a dry subject where philosophical understanding is required. At the same time, why Prabhupada gave this emphasis on the sloka and then this one understanding is for us to make the point much more stronger and clear with an affirmation. It is not only mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, in all the other scriptures also, which means this Ishopanishad is also another important scripture. It emphasizes on this particular concept of Bhagavan realization and worshipping to that Bhagavan with the love and affection and surrender unto him. That is the important aspect. Yeah, please read the sloka also.
Vayur anilam amritam adhedam bashmantam shariram Om krato smara kritam smara krato smara kritam smara. Yeah. Let this temporary body be burned to ashes, and let the air of life be merged with the totally of air. Now, O my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you are the ultimate beneficiary, please remember all that I have done for you.
Okay. very nice, beautiful Sanskrit way. Om Krato Smara, Kritam Smara, Krato Smara, Kritam Smara. Again, right? All four have a different meaning. Om Krato, okay, he's calling the Supreme Lord. Om Krato, O enjoyer of the supreme sacrifices, right? We all know whatever Yogeshwara, right? In Bhagavad Gita also we mentioned Yajna Purusha, as Yajna Purusha, whatever sacrifices that we perform, who is the ultimate beneficiary? As Yajna Purusha, the Lord will come and take it, right? So that Om Krato. So please remember Smara. Okay, he's telling that Jivatma is calling to Lord. Oh Lord, please say I have done so much of seva, I have done this, everything. So at the moment of death, Bhasmatat, when it is getting burnt into ashes, this body, this shariram, when it is coming out, please, I hope whatever seva that I have done, you will be able to understand and realize, and then Bhagavan, please help me. That is the first thing. Okay, Om Krato Smara, Kritam Smara, please remember Smara, Kritam, please remember. Okay, please remember again, Kritam Smara, Krato Smara, Kritam Smara. So whatever I have done, this is like nothing but a prayer or a pleading situation to the Lord. Krishna, please, Antakalecha Mamaya, the same sloka, or Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam, right? During that the Antakale, during at the moment of death, I have done so many things for you. Please try to give me your protection. Please give me your shelter. Please give me your highest benediction, your mercy. Okay, that is where this particular Jivatma is this one. Okay, in one way, contrastingly, we'll say why that particular Jivatma has to ask, please remember me. Definitely the Lord will remember, right? And we all know from Bhagavad Gita everything that Name Bhaktya Pranashyati. I will never leave my let down my devotee. So Krishna is giving that assurance. Correct? So that is the difference between, if you see from a Bhagavad Gita perspective to this Upanishads perspective. So Upanishads are at high philosophical and then more from a level of that particular knowledge where it is just going into the surrender motion. But Bhagavad Gita is direct, like Prabhupada mentioned, it is direct and then it is also giving 100% more better assurance. Okay. So we cannot compare Bhagavad Gita with any other spiritual subject or spiritual knowledge. That is why it is king of all the Upanishads, king of all the, and beyond that is Srimad Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam gives the taste, the nectar of devotion service, which means that gives the prema or the ruchi portion from Bhagavatam perspective. Okay. I think this sloka we don't have anything very specifically. We just have to understand what is the Hiranyamaya Patam. So Prabhupada also calling this Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam Slokam. The devotees, however, develop a sense of love of Godhead by practice devotion service. Even at the moment of death, at time of death, a devotee does not remember service to the Lord, the Lord does not forget. This is the assurance Prabhupada is giving, right? Many of them will ask this question: oh, what happens if I'm not able to chant? What happens? Suddenly the death comes. What happens? This comes. What happens? So, what is the word? Masuchaha. Don't worry. Prabhupada is giving that assurance because the practice that we have been performing through the Krishna conscious way, through our seva, everything, even we forget, the Lord will not forget. Okay. But in this sloka, it is more from a typical way of asking, or way of seeking benediction from the Supreme Lord to give his mercy or give his shelter. But Prabhupada is making for devotees, we develop love of Godhead. We have a wonderful reciprocation with the Supreme Lord through our sadhana practices. So even if at time of death, even if you're not able to do anything, don't worry, Krishna will take to us. Okay. And this is a very nice section you can read. Okay, yeah, this one.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains these verses in this way. One should regard a devotee of Krishna to be on the right path of the saints. even though such a devotee may seem to be Sudurachara, a person of loose character, one should try to understand the real purport of the word Sudurachara. A conditioned soul has to act for double functions, namely for the maintenance of the body and again for self-realization.
Thank you, Balaji. So apisecho duracharo. So Krishna said, even when my devotee, whenever he falls, I will ensure comes back quickly. So I will always continue to protect him, even if there is a failure. It is not a consideration. So he'll be able to continue his devotional service. So his 2 points. One is maintenance for the body, and again self-realization. So the jivatma or the devotee has to perform continuously the normal karma activities to maintain the body, and then also to improve the knowledge or improve the understanding of devotion service. Okay, that is the two important aspect of it. Okay, Prabhupada is talking about the Navavida Bhakti portion. The explanation of this mantra and practically all the mantras is summarized in Vedanta Sutra and properly explained in Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam will give out that wonderful understanding of the pure devotion service aspect of it. Okay, so that is what Prabhupada is also mentioning. And after your Bhakti Shastri, you should take up Bhakti Vaiva also, so that it will give you this wonderful knowledge about Bhagavatam. Yeah, Tasmat Bharat Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishwararhi Shotavya Kirtavyascha Smratavyascha Chetavya. So what is that Jivatma has to do? Okay, so every Jivatma, what is the prime duty of every Jivatma? And Sukadeva Goswami mentioned that Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishwararhi. So who is the Supreme Hari? Who is the Supreme Ishwara? It is Hari. Shotavya Kirtavyascha Smratavyascha. All that you have to do is to listen, hear, glorify, and then remember. That's all. Okay, that is what is a Jivatma has to. Shrotavya, hearing, Kirtitavya. She has to glorify the Supreme Lord and also Smaratavya. Smarata means always remembering. Okay, that is the primeval thing. And who is that person? Bhagavan Ishwaro Hari. This is very important. One has to learn this art by employing the senses in the service of the Lord during one's lifetime. One can utilize the results of such practice at the mind of death. So we have to do a practice of sadhana bhakti, right? Whenever whatever we are trying to do is more from a Vaidhi sadhana bhakti only, right? In Nectar of Devotions, you would have dealt in detail about sadhana bhakti, samanya bhakti, and then in sadhana bhakti you have Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, ragano bhakti, ragatmika bhakti, the details and the stages of all those things you would have studied, right? So Prabhupada is giving that important aspect of performance of devotion service to the Lord, so that the senses are engaged, mind is completely under control, intelligence is properly utilized, so that the devotion service will be to the perfection. The last. Yeah, so this is the surrender sloka. Any Prabhuji? Please read.
Oh,
Hare
oh
Krishna.
my Lord.
Hari Purushottam Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna, Babuji. O my Lord, as powerful as fire, O omnipotent one, now I offer you all obeisances falling on the ground at your feet. O my Lord, please lead me on the right path to reach you. And since you know all that I have done in the past, please free me from the reaction to my past sins, so that there will be no hindrance to my progress.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
read this section.
By surrendering to the Lord and praying for his causeless mercy, the devotee can progress on the path of complete self-realization. The Lord is addressed as fire because he can burn anything into ashes, including the sins of the surrendered soul. As described in the previous mantras, the real or ultimate aspect of the absolute of his feature as the personality of Godhead and his personal Brahma Jyoti feature is dazzling covering over his face. Fruitive activity of the karmakand path of self-realization is the lowest stage of this endeavor. As soon as such activity even slightly deviate from the regulative principles of the Veda, they are transformed into vikrama or act against the interest of the actor. Such vikrama is enacted by the illusion living entity simply by sense gratification, and thus such activities become hindrance on the path of self-relations.
Thank you, Prabhu. So this self-realization is possible only through the human form of life. In the fourth sloka itself, it was very clearly mentioned. If the person is not able to utilize the human form of life, he is called the Atmaja. He is the killer of the soul. That portion we saw, right? So this is the final sloka, which means clearly calling out or ensuring that okay, I come do a complete surrender. I am falling at your lotus feet. Please lead me to the right path. Also give me the 100% protection. Okay. How? Please free me from the all my past sins, everything, whatever. And like how a fire burns out all the things. Please. And there will be no hindrance to my progress. So it is kind of a pleading sloka. So in this sloka, two aspects to understand. One is the Saranagati or the shelter understanding. Second is aspect about how a prayer is getting this pleaded. A prayer is uh, mentioned, and our prayer is kind of conditioned way of how do we understand the prayer. So we also pray, right? Our in Bhagavatam there is a whole set of prayers by wonderful devotees, and every prayer has got a structure. In Bhagavatam, the prayers are in a structured way where they will either it is Kunti Maharani or Narada Rishi or Bhishma Dev or Dhruva Maharaj or Prahlad Maharaj, whomsoever across or gopis, whomsoever Brahma. Everybody have their own way of glorifying the Lord. Everybody are in their own way. They will please the Lord. Then they will tell about what and all He has done, and finally plead to the Lord. Okay, in such a way. So prayers are very important. There's no doubt about understanding the prayers. But how do we structure our prayers is also very important. It is in a way where, first of all, we should know what is our position. We have to exhibit our position. Like Kunti Maharani will say, I'm in the most richest stage, but Vipadu Santusta. I always want more and more calamities. Right? So in that way. And then she will get into 3-4 slokas about glorifying the Lord's different Leelas that Krishna performed, as Damodar Leela, as other Leela, and then she will glorify the same Maya Jamnikachanam. The same Krishna is standing right in front of us, but this Maya, this iron curtain of Maya is so strong that the Supreme Lord is standing here, but nobody is able to Natyo Natyadhara. He is perfectly playing his actor role. So nobody is able to understand that he is the Supreme Lord. Right. So in such a way, she will conclude. And then she will always, and finally, her thing will is, please sever me from the material family knots. I don't want to get more entangled with family, with my own children, with my own Pandavas. I want to move out of it. That's what she will do. Bhishmadev, in his own way, he will glorify the Lord as Parthasarathi. Okay, and then he will say, I had the wonderful darshan of the Parthasarathi form, Krishna with a mustache, with a great Kshatriya, this one with a sword, with the whip, and then the rope, and then his hair is completely disheveled, and his hair is completely in a messy situation, and his face is sweating, and he has got wounds on his body, that is like rose petals coming on it. All those wonderful forms he will glorify. And finally, he will say, Iti Matir. So he will say, my mind. In my mind, I have the feeling, willing, and thinking. Please focus. I'm going to focus my mind only on that Supreme Personality of Godhead. So everybody in Bhagavatam, if you read through the prayers by wonderful exalted devotees, they form a particular way, particular structure in presenting their prayers to the Supreme Lord. Even Rudra Geetam, whatever Gopika Geetam, whatever beat it have, that's perfect understanding, right? So this loka is all about Sharanagati. Sharanagati means shelter, taking shelter of the Lord, but in a way where it is mentioning, I want more of direction, I want more of understanding, I want more of your mercy, so that I will be able to come out of this material entanglement. So please free me from this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyade. Even Bhagavad Gita also it is saying, right? If you do a perfect devotion service, all his previous karma, everything will be get bhasmasat kurite Arjuna. So he will bhasmam, he will just burn it the reactions of karma to ashes, right? So that is how this particular sloka concludes. And Prabhupada is also giving a very detailed understanding about all the aspects of the perfection of understanding. Savapada moolam bhajata priyasya takya anya bhavasya hari prayesha. So the Lord, somebody who is surrendered unto the Lord, okay, surrendering unto the Lord is very important. And once the surrender portion is done, whatever vikarma, karma portions, all will get destroyed, right? Hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord is itself an act of piety. The Lord wants everyone to hear and chant His glories because He is the Suhritam Sarva Bhutanam. He is the well-wisher of all the living entities. By hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, one becomes cleansed of all undesirable things. Okay? The devotee becomes fully enlightened by virtue of his devotional service, and thus he comes to know the path of the Lord. All doubts diminish, he becomes a pure devotee. We will also have a lot of doubts. We'll have a lot of um, um, clarifications in a way where we might have a little bit doubts whether is it correct or not, this is right or not, all those things. But the more and more you do practice of chanting, more and more cleansing happens, more and more more and more cheto darpana marjanam happens, then the clarity will automatically come. Okay. Thus, hence the Bhaktivedanta purpose of Sri Ishopanishad, the knowledge that brings one near to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Yeah, we saw the Sambhutam Asambhutam principle. Hiranmayana Patrena also we saw this particular section, the details about Hiranmayana Patrena, the levels of God realization, the nature of golden effulgence. This is very important. Okay, this question also we saw. And there are some analogies also. And Prabhupada talking about refuting the Maya of the philosophy is very important. And Prabhupada quotes in very important slokas also. So Prabhupada is quoting the Sukadeva Goswami's wonderful sloka in Bhagavatam. Itam satam brahma sukam vita. Sloka dasyam gatanam paradhaivena naranara. So he's playing like an ordinary boy. Sometimes what will happen in the past times, they will have a game and then Krishna will lose and all the Gopas will chastise him, will scold him, will kick him, will make him like, no, you have to carry us. And Krishna will dutifully do whatever ways. Right? So Sukadeva Goswami is glorifying this. The same Itam Satam Brahma. So he is the supreme Brahman. He is the person who is worshipped by the great Jnanis. He is this one. But the same person here, he is just like ordinary boys. He is just playing with the cowherd boys. Right? So that is which is very, very bewildering, which ordinary persons will never be able to understand. Okay? That is the understanding. The ultimate revelation part. Okay, this we saw. And then the 16th sloka is all about the sun rays. This also with the push and portion we saw the request by the devotee to withdraw the dazzling rays, the Brahma Jyoti portion. Okay. Prabhupada is talking about reference from Brahma Samhita we saw, reference from Bhagavad Gita also, and then Jiva Goswami's Bhakti Sandarbha section also. The word Om is also called here. That Om portion also we have understood. This section, I think the Navavida Bhakti portion, I think we have understood that also. Right? Okay. The last sloka, the path of surrender, Nyaya Marga. Okay. The love, this portion also we saw. The forgiveness of past sins in us. All things should go away. So this assurance is very important, right? So whatever I've done, what will happen? Don't worry about it. No matter how many sins, whatever bit, one can make your life successful. Sarvadharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. That also very important portion. So what is that we take from this Brahma Samhita's 18 slokas, right? Which is very important. So we'll just take some 5-10 minutes. You have been patiently listening, hearing for last 4-5 sessions, right? So you know the entire structure of all these 18 slokas. Okay, let us take 5-10 minutes before we end the session. You can share your realization, and then we'll get into the question and answers of this particular chapter. Okay, so you please share your understanding of whatever you have got, so that it becomes a reflection, so that others also will be able to understand. Okay, please. What have you understood of Ishopanishad? Anybody?
Hare Krishna, I try.
Yes,
It's for me how we are step by step we get step by step with guidance of the Acharya nearer to God and to the effulgence and to the face, as with prayers, how we step by step move towards God through the Sri Upanishad. It was very beautiful made. Also, yeah, this is what I understand in all, also the step by step through the mantras.
Right. Thank you, Mataji. Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. So after Bhagavad Gita, these mantras were very like helpful to like cultivate more in-depth knowledge and to use whenever we try to preach somebody, to use such like key points from Ishopanishad, which will increase our knowledge, personal knowledge, as well as like give one more shastra praman to like preach them. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And I hope we will get this slide as well. Thank you.
Yeah, no issues. You will get this. Okay. So the Isha, some of the key principles you should understand, the Ishavasam principle, the understanding of Purnamida, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachite, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, that Purnam portion you should understand, the understanding of Karma, Vikarma, Karma portion, the understanding of Jivatma, understanding of the Lord's different energy manifestations, the understanding of the demigod worship, understanding of why we should not do, and how do we do the surrender to the Supreme Lord, all those specific concepts, all condensed in this 18 slokas. Okay. Okay. And most importantly, the Vidya and Avidya portion, the Jnana portion also, right? What is real knowledge versus what is the imperfect understanding of the knowledge? The balance should be there. That portion is also wonderfully covered in 9, 10, and 11 portion. 12, 13 is about demigod worship, and the previous slokas we all understand, right? Okay. True knowledge leads to bhakti, and most importantly, without knowledge, even Krishna says you should rise. In fourth chapter, it concludes that yes, with the weapon of knowledge, you slash the ignorance. That is what he's mentioning. And then liberation and devotion. So after that, it is all about moving out of this material understanding, material manifestation, and then focusing on liberation. Okay. So these are some of the proprietorship, work and duty, equality, knowledge, liberation, devotion, all the specific points are all covered. So some of the takeaways that you should understand is Bhagavan is the center. Human life is a crisis. Human life is a crisis and opportunity. In one way, we have to understand human life is a opportunity. So if you utilize human life, then we are 100% safe. What is our personal goal and what is the process of our surrender is also very important. Okay. Okay, so quickly just run through. I think you will have the selected analogies. I think you will be able to quickly read through and understand the selected analogies. quickly run through the questions so that it will be easy for you. What is meant by Veda? Veda means knowledge. Any knowledge that is coming from the parampara system, which is original, which is authentic, which is considered as the from the Shruti Pramanam is important. And what are the four type of defects? Tendency to commit mistakes, illusion, to be illusion, cheating propensity, and senses are imperfect. Three pramanams, Anumana Pramanam, Pratyaksha Pramanam, Shabda Pramanam. Shabda Pramanam is the best, easiest way because it is the most perfect way, not easiest way, most perfect way, because that comes from the right authoritative sources, and that is the best way to receive the knowledge through the through the inductive, through the deductive. Like we get through from the parampara system. That is the knowledge. Okay. And what are the qualifications of a spiritual master? As per Prabhupada mentioned, two main things. One is he should be firmly fixed. A spiritual master should be firmly fixed in the absolute truth or the Brahman, and he should come from the disciplined succession. Okay. Ishavasam, everybody will know. Everything belongs to whatever animate, inanimate. Okay. So whatever moving, unmoving, everything is by the Supreme Lord. Okay. And what is when we Bhagavata communism also, you should know. What is para prakriti and apara prakriti? We saw para prakriti is the superior energy. Apara prakriti is the material energy. All the panchabhutams, the 24 material elements, this material manifestation, everything is under the apara prakriti, and para prakriti is the 3/4 of the supreme. 1/4 is the other one. 3/4 is the para prakriti, the spiritual energy. Okay, karma, akarma, vikarta, vikarma, you all know. And sura and asura also, all the devatas, and then the asuras, that also we know. Antaryami is nothing but the person who is sitting inside us, right? He is Bahir, he is Antar, he is within the Jivatma. So he knows the what is the desire, what is the actions, whatever be it for that particular Jivatma. Okay. How is the Lord's? So in one sloka, Lord's bodily features is mentioned where the Jiva, the Atma, sorry, not the Jivatma, the Atma and the body of the Supreme Lord, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, his Janma Karma, his activities, his birth in the body that he comes is also spiritual. There is no difference between his body and his Atma. Okay, very important. There is no veins, there is no blood, then nothing like material, chemical combination of his body creation. Okay, it is all spiritual. And this material manifestation is what is showing that we are all that we are actually incompatible with the dead matter, which means we are suppose it will definitely get destroyed. What is Atmaha? Atmaha is nothing but killer of the soul. Apaurisha means whatever this Vedas and slokas and Bhagavad Gita all mentioned by that supreme personality of Godhead, which is beyond the mundane understanding. Ekatvam Anupashyatah, we all understand. Right? Ekatvam is seeing that oneness in everybody. Hiranyakshara, sorry, not Hiranyaksha, sorry. Hiranyakashipu means, Hiranya means gold, Kashipu means soft, but this also we have seen. Hiranmayana Patran, the dazzling cover of the, okay. Tad Dore Tad Antike, which means very far away as well as very, very close.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, maybe this is not an appropriate question, but actually I used to think like Hiranyakashipu was such a demon, and his name I got to realize right now that it is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So why so? I mean, I couldn't understand this, that golden
Hiranya,
soft bed.
see, actually, our acharyas, it looks beautiful for you, but what our acharyas, especially Bhaktivinoda Thakur and others, what is how they define gold as? Anybody knows?
No, Prabhu.
Okay, our acharyas term gold as yellow stool. Stool, you know what is stool, right? They're saying yellow stool, which means the more and more affirmation or need focusing on gold is nothing but yellow stool. So we have to move away from the material gold also. So that is why, at least from the desire to acquire or desire to have that the material possession of gold is nothing but yellow stool. Okay.
And Prabhuji, the term soft bed illuminates tamogun
Tamogun,
because
and
we
then
should
yeah. You can say
Yes.
Tamogun. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. I think the analogies all you should be able to quickly understand. And there will be an analogy of Shruti is considered as mother. Who can tell who is the best person to tell about the father is the Shruti. I mean the mother. That also we can understand. I think all the other analogies I think you should be able to quickly understand. Heat, light, this cobra. This ninth sloka cobra is very important. Very dangerous. That is like half-baked knowledge is actually being ignorant is better than half-baked or half understood knowledge, right? That portion is also understood where advancement of education by godless people, which means somebody well qualified, but they are not, but they are in the atheistic way, means it is much more dangerous. It is more or less compared to decorations on the dead body. There are two, in this particular analogy, there are two different analogies. One is danger about having a jewel on the cobra, and also the advancement of education by godless people is compared. So there are two analogies in this particular sloka, particular section. So this Calcutta ticket we saw today, right? Calcutta and not Bombay, that was also. Okay. So Rajiv Prabhu, I'm sorry, I had to mention that. So don't change Mumbai and all. Whenever whomsoever reading it, just read whatever Prabhupada mentioned. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Antakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. So Krishna willing, tomorrow we will have we will start with the Nectar of Instructions session. Any doubts? Any clarification before we close the session? Nectar of Instructions is mostly kind of a self-study, group study exercises that we will have to do, because since you have already finished Nectar of Devotion, some of the main concepts of Nectar of Devotion is repeated in Nectar of Instructions. Ideally, you should have done Bhagavad Gita, Ishopanishad, Nectar of Instruction, and then Nectar of Devotion. But I think you have done the other way. That is fine. So this Nectar of Instruction also will be more or less kind of repetitive of whatever you have understood from Nectar of Devotion perspective. But that's fine. We will just run it tomorrow. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anandakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank
Hare Krishna.